Whether you're into fishing, inshore, offshore, paddling to the sandbars, back in the creeks, there's just so much to see on the water. I really would call this place a waterman's paradise.
Being a waterman, you've got your freedom. I've seen some pretty days, I've seen some nasty days, I've been scared at times, but it's just the freedom and the feel of the salt air. It's hard to beat.
Waterman is kind of a jack of all trades. Somebody that's in the industry 100%, you got to be a jack of all trades.
Someone that becomes one with knowing and understanding the water, the weather, and how it works and the rhythm of nature.
It's someone that doesn't need a weather map or a tide chart. They can look and read the water. They can know what the conditions are going to be today and tomorrow. Someone that can leave here and go to Maine.
Part of fishing is really rhythmical, and it's understanding tides, tidal schedules, lunar schedules, so on and so forth. So when you cohabitate with the water, it becomes a fantastic relationship where you actually are one with the water. It's kind of a neat thing to see.
My name is Paula Gillikin. I manage 2 island nature reserves. I'm a small ferry passenger captain. I'm a sailor. I'm a water woman. I never really thought of what it meant to be a water woman until I moved to Boston for graduate school. And I felt like a fish out of water, not being on the coast. And I think at that point I realized that being a water woman is that your livelihood and your mental and your physical well-being is connected to the coast and to the salt water. And if you're not there, then a big piece of you is missing. By taking people out on the local water, the purpose is to inspire them to want to protect our local estuaries and educate them about what they're seeing. When they go do something to be a good steward of their own watersheds, such as starting a community cleanup group, that's inspiring to me. It's like a circle of inspiration, and we're all doing good things to protect our coast.
Growing up as a small kid, I can remember going along the shore with my grandmother, trailing along behind her. She had a small little rake. We'd pick up oysters, scallops, clams, and go straight to the house, clean them, and have them for supper. It was just a way of life. It's a whole lot different than it is today. The younger generation are having to fight and struggle. They just had to fight to keep their rights of making a living.
We do not cherish or appreciate the commercial fishermen because they are our watchmen for the fisheries. They are the ones that know when something's going wrong. We only have, maybe a handful of biologists and marine biologists who can do these studies. And without the cooperation of the fishing community, they can't really get a good handle on what's happening to the environment and what's happening with the fisheries.
I went to McClellanville, South Carolina a few months ago. Back when I was down there was 150 boats. It'd been 20 years since I went there, and there was only 20 boats maybe. And it should have been packed, like it was in the old days. They didn't have to fight like they do now. It takes people like Zach, young, full of fire, that's educated.
I don't know, somebody told me one time all a college degree meant was you could drink beer and survive. So, I'm Zach Davis, I'm from Martinsburg, North Carolina. I've been here all my life. I enjoyed college. It was good. It definitely gave me a different perspective on the way you come across to people, especially in this business and the political side of it. The better you can talk and interact with other people and be respectful, the better you get your point across. Teach high school welding technology and marine trades. We're one of the few high schools in the state that even offer anything related to marine trades. Navigation safety, boat handling, diesel, mechanics, generators, electronics, that kind of stuff. It's kind of a broad spectrum course, kind of dabbing into everything.
I'm a sophomore now. I've had this class once this year and once last year. When I get out of high school, I want to go to NC State, get like my mechanical engineering and work with marine diesel motors. I enjoy working on motors. I figure I'm best doing something I enjoy.
If they wanted to go get a captain's license out of high school or an AB ticket, they could. If they want to go on a boat or a shrimp trawler, a fishing boat, they've got kind of a basic knowledge and they can do it.
This is my first time to the Crystal Coast.
Coming here, seeing the intercoastal waterways.
It's a great paddling environment.
Couldn't wait to start our adventure.
I've been cooking professionally and working with fish for 33 years. Recently, in the last year or so, decided to make a career change to being more involved inside the market and have ended up here with Blue Ocean Market. I've actually gone out and caught the tuna and then brought it home, and actually that day I've come in and processed the tuna and then taken that tuna off to the restaurant that I used to work at and turn it into a dish for a wedding that night. So we actually have literally been hours out of the water, processed, and then on the table that night. One of the coolest experiences I've had is going out, dropping down, catching the fish and cooking it tableside on the boat. Running some lines for some people. They got hungry. It wasn't what we were really targeting, so we dropped down and we pulled up a nice grouper and decided to fillet it, cook it right there boatside, and we turned it into some incredibly fresh grouper tacos, which was quite amazing.
This is my first time to the Crystal Coast and I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And our morning actually started with a spectacular sunrise that just illuminated the entire sky with orange and pink and the blue of the water. I couldn't wait to start our adventure, which began by paddling. There's so many different areas to paddle and to see and explore. We hiked to the spot where we put in, which was through the woods. There was a little hilly and a little sandy, but we finally came to this beautiful spot where we put our boards in.
Yeah, so I'm more of like an inland paddler, so doing rivers and lakes. But so coming here, seeing the intercoastal waterways and like the almost like canoe trails, that was really neat. So much wildlife. There's crabs, fish, just jumping all over the place.
We saw a lot of oysters, some sparta grass. It was really cool too. I saw a couple ospreys in the trees. It's a great paddling environment. It was fun to get out and just see the wildlife and experience nature.
No one around, nothing around for miles, seems like. So it's that solitude you're kind of always looking for.
So the yoga session this morning was breathtaking. We're able to paddle past some sandbars to a great place to anchor. And then we began to practice, just surrounded by all of this beauty and all of this calm. I couldn't believe that we were able to practice in the middle of this space that was held by nature.
That was super special. Just open space, lots of wildlife.
The birds and the sounds of the ocean. It all just makes life worth living.
After lunch, we went fly fishing and fishing. Looking basically for redfish or trout or even flounder this time of year.
I'm mostly a fisherman when it comes to like rivers and lakes, you know, ponds, like farm ponds. I grew up doing that. Actually, yesterday was my first time ever fishing in the ocean. So I tried to do as much technique as I could. Definitely got a few bites and stuff, but didn't have too much luck. I'm not quite the angler as Matt is.
Just looking for bait pushing in the water and looking for drum, like tails, just any kind of action on the surface of the water, just being one with nature and doing some fishing.
This is my second time at the beautiful Crystal Coast. My first time was at the end of summer when it was still a little warm, but the fall is spectacular. You have the changing of the colors with the seasons. Not what I normally expect from North Carolina. I'm used to North Carolina Blue Ridge Mountains and just being out here and being surrounded by so much water and islands. It's incredible, beautiful.
Caught a lot of waves, catching some redfish, catching some flounder. Just enjoyed each other's company, being around the fire, and just enjoying that beautiful atmosphere here.
Woke up at like 5:30 a.m., got breakfast and made our way down to the pier, watch the sunrise, come up over the ocean and just surfed our faces off for about 3 hours.
Caught a lot of waves because the waves were about waist to chest high and the wind was offshore.
Surfing with the guys was awesome. Being one of the pack, I got to surf my first longboard. I usually stand-up paddle surf, and that was exciting and fun. Sharing waves and sharing stories and tips and tricks on how to catch them. New experiences, new places, new people. Always a good time.
I like to call it a double whammy. After we went surfing, we went sup fishing, and we went to Davis Bay.
And it was like really good. There's plenty of different marshes and creeks that you could explore. Kind of get blocked by the wind a little bit. We probably fished for about a good 6 hours.
Catching some redfish, catching some flounder, just enjoying being out on the water.
So we came in and we grabbed some dinner, we grabbed some firewood, and we went back out to Shackelford. This beautiful white crescent beach. It was one of the biggest white crescent beaches I've ever seen. And we had dinner out there. We built this bonfire.
The beach faced south, so it was neat because we got to see the sun rise over the water. In the evening, you could also see the sun set over the water as well.
I feel it. Will you stay with me under the moonlight? We'll be magical as we dream. You won't know till you try. Under the moonlight.
There's nothing more enjoyable than spending your last couple moments of the evening in the sunset with your friends in the sand with a blazing fire to keep you warm.
Just enjoy each other's company, being around the fire, snacking on some food, and just enjoying that beautiful atmosphere here.
Will you stay with me under the moonlight?
The topography was like Mars.
This huge beach that usually is underwater, basically like another planet. So yesterday morning we woke up pretty early, made our way to Shark Island, and it was just basically like another planet.
The topography was like Mars. It was incredible. Shells everywhere. There was a little inland lake where we did some yoga, and I had a really nice meditation practice on the beach. It was just so serene and beautiful and surrounded by beautiful turquoise water. Sometimes I'd be looking out thinking it was the Caribbean. It was so beautiful and blue.
The water was crystal clear blue. We were able to do some yoga on this little inlet that was just like glass. The reflection of the sky on the water was perfect, picturesque.
Basically this huge beach that usually is underwater. We did some fishing, caught some trout, some flounder.
It was neat being out on the inlet in the water and seeing the bait pop it all over the place and seeing the albacore jump. We hooked up quite a few times actually and lost quite a few, but eventually we had one on, and it was neat seeing the drag just run like crazy and the line cut right through the water. So it was a great time out in the water.
So after Shark Island, we went to some rock piles and saw some fish jumping, so we kind of wetsuited up and got in there and tried to do a little bit of spearfishing.
And luckily enough, we found some schools of sheephead, and so we used the pole spear and we speared a few of them and put them in the cooler and took them home to eat.
After fishing, we switched gears a little bit, met up with the girls, did a little bit of exploration paddling. We did a paddle around Cape Lookout, saw the lighthouse, and it was gorgeous.
Called the Diamond Lady. It's an iconic, beautiful black and white diamond painted lighthouse.
It has diamonds all over it. The black diamonds go north and south, and the white diamonds face east and west. So we always knew where we were when we were around the Diamond Lady. Just a spectacular view with the spectacular people for an amazing day of paddling. So with a week full of adventure, friends, a bonfire, beautiful crystal clear water. I can't wait to come back to the Crystal Coast.
This place has so many different estuaries, a ton of variety of types of paddling.
Crystal Coast is pretty much the waterman's dream. There's just so much to do in such a small area.
We had an awesome time at the Crystal Coast. I can't wait to come back. There's so many things that we didn't get a chance to do, but I'll be back.
A waterman, in my mind, is somebody that makes their living from the water.
When you can immerse yourself into that ideology of working the water,
You can go north, south, east, west. As long as you have fuel and a sailboat wind, you can just keep right on traveling.
As somebody who enjoys the challenge, who loves the outdoors,
Your livelihood and your mental and your physical well-being is one with the water.
Someone that just likes to be around the salt water, just likes to be in it, on it, we love it.
By nature, you know, we're land-based creatures, so being a waterman is basically being in your element on the water. That's where you're gonna be most at home. So for me, I just want to be well-rounded, and I think that's what it means, just to be more at home on the water than it is be on land.